We have Weather Painter for you today. Abyss Actors. This is going to be a good day. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. You know, it's a good day out here when we see Weather Painters stepping into the arena, showcasing that this deck is still a monster to be reckoned with in today's meta. Now, remember, this deck is going to revolve around Weather Painters. No, this is the heart and soul of the deck. And actually, we're playing 2 copies of the Misty Seedlings here, getting you the chance to basically turbo into the snow, because this is a light fairy monster. I do find it pretty cool, though, that this build is effectively trying to adapt towards, you know, some sort of extra methods to get to the fairy tale snow, at least in more generic assets. We are playing 2 copies of the Dimension Shifter. It's definitely interesting. Were they really afraid of going to 45 cards, though? Or were they afraid of losing some sort of consistency? But interesting to not see the 3 of that. Same thing here with Double Fenrir as well. We are playing, of course, triple copies of the Dimensional Fissure. Yeah, floodgates do need to exist in this, and I do see, you know, maybe this could have been a slight confliction, because they're like, hey, you know, we're playing 5. You know, we have some sort of options for this. We are playing 3, 1, 3 on the spells, and then 2, 2 on the traps. Pretty much what you want to be seeing here. And of course, I mean, this deck's just not complete without, you know, the extra floodgates here in the form of yield skill drains, and we are actually playing the lose 1 turn. So, I mean, you have so much effective madness in this build. It's actually kind of crazy. And you also see the double Vitos down here as well for the interruptions, for those opponents' field spells. And we're also playing 1 copy of Aurora as well. And if you want to get really cheesy, we're playing a Golden Lord, just so you can start using the little free advantage of your floodgates to deploy a 3100 or a 3500 attack point monster. This deck has a lot of cool techs, and I'm actually really all about this. This is pretty cool. Next up here, we have Abyss Actors, and I cannot stress this enough. As long as there's no zone locking shenanigans like we were seeing with Shangarera being able to resolve and take away, you know, the craziness, a deck like this I think has a pretty good chance to do well in today's meta, and that's a win here. We are playing standard 12 hand traps, the 3, 3, 3, and the 3. That's pretty straightforward here. We are playing the triple tack talents built into the main deck. That's fine. We are also playing 2 copies of Dramatic Story. We have the triple copies of our little Pot of Avarice here, getting us the free searchability we need. And then we're only doing 1 copy of the Fantastic Theater, the 1 Abyss-tainment, and then, of course, 1 Opening Ceremony and your 2 Rise of the Abyss King. But Rise of the Abyss King, this card is so stupid for the value that you can get on this thing. I also see we are doing Dimension Shifter down here with the triple crossout designator. You know why? Because this deck does not want to get shifted at all. Actually, I think this deck getting shifted just loses all of its momentum. But the fact that you can clearly be able to have a solution to this is pretty good. Speaking of shifter, though, this deck does get access to board-in Dimensional Ground. So, you know, after you do all of your shenanigans that you need to do against your opponent, you're effectively good to go, because DD Ground just will start punishing your opponents. Also only for 1 turn, which is also going to be pretty good. Outside of that, I mean, you have Super Polys in here for your Garua and your Mud Dragon. We've been pretty used to seeing that so far. And you are maximizing on Hyper Director, Super Producer as well. Yeah, there's not a lot of other crazy things to mention with this deck. The Abyss Actor story is pretty straightforward, I feel like, at this point. You know, once you've got things going, you should be good to go. Alright, next up here. Wow, we are playing a Synchro Turbo version of Voiceless Voice with branded cards. What are we... Okay, well, first of all, we're doing this because it's during the opponent's main phase that we get the ability to jump with this, so you can still do the branded plays and actually not lock yourself, which is kind of funny, actually. I think you've got a lot to think about when you're looking at a deck like this, especially Voiceless Voice being able to, you know, set up this and this all within the same functional, like, turns for the disruption for your opponent. And then you're telling me here that we can hop your squadron into, you know, Baron, Chaos Angel. We're playing the sun. Okay, we're playing this as well. Okay, well, this is kind of cool because this is going to be a 2 and a 1. So what value do we get on this? So once per turn during your opponent's main phase, you can immediately effect resolves. We can Synchro summon. And if this card is sent to the graveyard and target one other Synchro monster in the graveyard, return it to the extra deck. And if we do, we can special summon this card but banish it when it leaves the field. Yes, a level 3 tuner that gives us the ability to quick Synchro jump into Senshin here. That's actually kind of hilarious, actually, because Senshin, we all know that any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead. So who doesn't love the fact that your opponent's like, oh, you know, we blew the negate on the Skull Guardian, and you're like, oh, okay, you know, we can hop your squadron with the low here, jump on into the Sorrow Cat, and then we can jump on in to the Senshin here, and then your opponent's just going to be like, what in the world's going on here? Like, why do you just have this much gas to be able to combo up? This is such a unique take on this deck. I think this is by far probably the most interesting thing that I've seen so far. It's also not like you can attempt to try to play some level 11s. You could play Psychic M Punisher in this deck too. I don't recommend it, but I mean, like, options, I suppose. If not, you can jump into 10. Okay. What else we got going on back here? Phantom Knights. People still play this? Yes, of course. I do fully expect as things do begin to into a new format here, a lot of people are going to try to dust this deck off and play this. And one of the first things I see here is we are playing the Dr. Frankenderp. Now remember, on normal, special, or E-Telly, you can look at the top of the card of your deck. You can either place on to the bottom or reveal it and add it to your hand. But then you don't get a next turn draw phase, which is fine. All right, if you're searching for a specific resource or something for your opening hand to be able to toggle through, you will get some pretty strong options along the way to do so here. Now, some other interesting things here. We are on 2 walls of the Imperial Tomb versus the triple sarcophagus. Yes, this is, I think, pretty standard. You do want to make sure you can try to play this card. Yes, I understand you're playing 45 cards, but realistically, you just want to make sure you're able to toggle through and do everything. And, of course, the Arrow Shark. Hey, man, getting a free detach ping your opponent for 100 damage for each of your banished monsters? Oh, that's time in the round? Yes, the fact that we've been seeing Arrow Shark show up as a time card, a little bit more niche, but only rank 3 decks really get to use it. Goblins really haven't gotten the chance to take too much of advantage of this, but to be fair, a little bit harder for goblins to get banished. Meanwhile, you know, you can just banish an Ancient Cloak or something along the way and be like, oh, okay, you know, we're able to get our search mission accomplished. Outside of that, this deck still feels pretty much the same as it has felt all format. You know, if you're going to play this, you're going to set up some big Xyz board. The Horus cards are going to get you to your milling options through the Vampire here. And the rest of it is just going to be how fast can we not lose to the Nibiru along the way. I think that's pretty straightforward, honestly. And, of course, welcome to the format, I suppose, if you're trying to play this pile. And our last list here is some Yubel. Now, remember, Yubel's going to go through a complete and utter evolution here once Legacy touches down, and we're going to have a completely different ball game with this deck. For now, this build is choosing to play the Grinder Golem in the side deck, which I think is fine. They're also playing the 1 Yubel with the 1 Terror Incarnate. That's fine. Right now in the current build, you don't really have a lot of craziness that you're trying to unfold too much with this. I think most of what you're trying to do is fine. We're also only doing 2 copies of Loving Defender Forever, which is fine. I mean, triple super poly 2 copies of Eternal Favorite should be enough to, you know, be able to go through those resources so you can do your thing. We are also doing 2 copies of the King Sarcophagus with the 1 Hoppy and the triple Mceti. So the standard 6, just to make sure that, you know, hey, we can make use of these dead Dark Beckoning Beast. Or possibly, depending on how we opened up, you know, maybe multiple Spirit Opening Gates to be able to get that extra bodies onto the field. And, of course, you know, the milling capabilities, the negates, the specific sending / protection. The Rank 8 package provides a pretty strong resource pool for this deck. And you do want to take advantage of that, especially, you know, if you're just splashing 6 cards into your already existing very strong deck. But once the next evolution of this deck comes, I don't think you're going to be looking to play that package in the future. So that's everything that we have for you today. Actually very happy to see Weather Painters and all these other challengers doing some pretty crazy things. So please leave a comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. I'm super excited for this, and you guys have a good rest of your day. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.